Hello my dears, welcome back to my corner of the internet. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite top 10 scary movies. Now we've talked about books, but I want to get into the movies. So the 8 of them are just kind of scary, spooky movies in general, and then 2 of them are Halloween themed. And then at the end, I'm going to mention something that's not a movie, but is great for watching this time of year. So let's just jump right into it. So the first one I want to talk about is The Conjuring. This is one of the best horror movies I've seen in a very, very long time. There's no cheap jump scares. There's no gore. It's just really, really good. Now, if you saw my book talk video yesterday talking about Ed and Lorraine Warren, they're actually the main characters in this film. They're going to work on a case in which a family who lives on an old farmhouse are having some very intense disturbances, and they want to know what's going on. So Ed and Lorraine go live with them for a while to try to figure out what is happening to their family, and it's great. I would give this my top recommendation, and if you haven't seen it, definitely do. There's a part 2 as well, but that's not on this list because I didn't want to get too repetitive, but that's also good. My number 2 favorite, and this actually, The Conjuring and this one went back and forth between who was going to be number 1, but in the end, I had to give it to The Conjuring just because it's so perfect for this time of year. But number 2 is definitely Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, based of course on this Stephen King book. This film is terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. I don't think I've ever been so scared by something. Just the visuals, the colors used, the music, everything. There are so many isolated, disturbing scenes in this film that you will just, it's a lot. It's a lot to handle. But I love it. I love, as you know, and I know I've mentioned before, I love haunted house stories. Haunted hotels also fit under that umbrella. So definitely check this out if you have not seen it already. The next one isn't really scary, but I love it so much, and that is Practical Magic, starring Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock. There's definitely some spooky moments, but it's not a horror film. It's about 2 sisters, and they are witches. They come from a family of witches, and there's always been a curse because of something painful that happened generations ago. There's been a curse placed on the family that any man that falls in love with a woman of this family will die. So we start off with Sandra Bullock, who is happily married, and then her husband passes away. She's left with her children, and her sister comes. Her sister's kind of wild and rebellious, where Sandra Bullock has always been more even-keeled and responsible. And then they next up we have the remake of the film Funny Games. Now, excuse the packaging, we bought this at like a going out of business sale from a video store. So this one, what year was this made? 2008. So this was the 2008 remake of a German film, and it's a scene-by-scene remake. German? I'm not sure. Don't quote me on German, but a European film. This is a scene-by-scene remake starring Michael Pitt and Naomi Watts, I think is her name. Yeah, so it's about this family goes to their summer home to spend a weekend or a week, a nice relaxing time there, when there's a knock on the door, and there's 2 well-dressed, wealthy children, not children, they're teenage boys, who begin to terrorize them for no other reason than they're crazy and they're bored. And it's an absolutely upsetting film, but it's so good. And there's these weird scenes where they break the 4th wall while they are torturing this family, and the instigators are talking directly to the audience, and that just makes it extra chilling to me. So if you can find it, Definitely recommend Funny Games. Next up, we have another Stephen King adaptation. There's going to be a few on this list, and that is 1408, starring John Cusack, who's a favorite of mine, and Samuel L. Jackson. Now, this film is based on a short story from the Stephen King collection, Everything's Eventual, and it's so good. It's about this writer who, he writes stories about haunted places, haunted hotels, haunted houses, whatever. And he's going around trying to find some evidence of the supernatural because his daughter has died. And that kind of ruined his entire life, as it would, you know, but for him especially, he just hasn't been able to find any peace or move on. It ruined his marriage, and now he's just kind of hunting for proof of the supernatural so that he could maybe find some way to connect with his daughter or say goodbye or just something. He's looking for something that's going to give him some peace. So he ends up going to the final hotel he goes to is I can never remember the name of this hotel. The Dolphin Hotel. And he has heard that room 1408 is haunted and he wants to go spend the night in there. And Samuel L. Jackson is like the manager of this hotel, and he's like, "Sir, you don't want any of that. You don't want it." But John Cusack, he insists, who I think his name is Mike in this. Yeah, so he goes and he has an absolutely terrifying night where he comes into contact with more than he bargained for. And it's really good. It's really sad in parts. You know, the majority of the movie is John Cusack alone in a room. And I always find those movies so interesting to see how the actors pull it off, and he really nails it. So I would definitely recommend this. It sticks super close to the story, so if you've read that, then you know what you'll be getting into with this, and it's really good. One of my faves. Next up, another Stephen King, and that is Carrie. This is the Sissy Spacek, John Travolta original, not the remake that came out a few years ago. I have not seen the remake, so I can't speak to how that is, but I love the original. And it's about a sort of outcast girl who's very tormented and she just does not fit in, develops telekinesis, and then unleashes a holy terror on her classmates. So it's definitely good for a scare. What was I saying? A great cast, really good movie. It's kind of an anthology. There's a bunch of different stories taking place, and then we kind of weave in and out of them and see what's going on. But it's a lot of fun. It's really spooky, and it's great for, you know, on Halloween night if you're home with your family. Not your children. Don't watch this with your children. But, you know, if you're home and on Halloween night you want something a little spooky, this is definitely great, and it's perfect on Halloween night. Next up, I mean, this is just everyone loves this movie, and it's, of course, Hocus Pocus, about the Sanderson sisters. I'm not going to blabber on about it because I know we've all seen it. And it's so much fun. It's just one of those movies that you fall in love with when you're a kid, and then it just carries through into adulthood, and you watch it because you love it, and it brings back a ton of memories. At least that's how it is for me, and a lot of other people in my life that I know who love it, that's how it is for them as well. I've also seen some really, really awesome Sanderson sisters tutorials going around YouTube to the people I'm subscribed to. There's 3 lovely ladies in mind that just recently did it. Of course I'm blanking on their names because that's what I do, but Kathy was one of them, and they just did a great job. So yeah, great movie. Next up, Silence of the Lambs. Not technically a horror film, but definitely super creepy, and it's great for any time of year. All of these are. And like Practical Magic, I watch that all the time. I love it so much. But yeah, Silence of the Lambs, it's classic. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. Hannibal Lecter, absolutely terrifying. Anthony Hopkins, like, so amazing. So definitely, if you have not seen Silence of the Lambs, you must watch it. You must. So good. And finally, for the movies, is this film, The Hole. I don't know if this was popular when it came out, honestly. But my husband and I bought this, like, I don't know, years and years and years ago. And it really creeped me out. It stars Thora Birch, the guy that played Quinn in Dexter, Desmond Harrington. And for so long, we've watched this probably 3 or 4 times. And every time, after a few weeks or months pass, I can't remember how it ended. For whatever reason, my brain just will not process how this movie ended. So I definitely won't give it away, but it's about a bunch of students who go missing from an English private school. And so we're shown what's happening, where they are. Instead of going on a school trip, they decide to stay behind, and they find like an underground bunker, and they go there. So like they're basically still on the school grounds, but they're down in this bunker, and then it shows what happens and why all of them don't make it out alive. Definitely good. And the final thing I wanted to talk about is, if you want something a little lengthier and perhaps more involved than a movie, I would so wholeheartedly recommend the first season of American Horror Story. And that's the Murder House season, the very first one. It was brilliant. It was so good. It was executed nearly perfectly, and I loved it. Out of all the seasons, I think they're currently on season 6, which I'm watching right now. But nothing compares to the first season. It was so good. So if you haven't seen this, I definitely recommend giving it a, give it a once over, see what you think. If you like it, you can watch the rest if you haven't already. If you have, I'd love to know what's your favorite season of American Horror Story. Anyway, that's it for now. I have no idea how long this video is, but I feel like it's very long, so I hope you enjoyed. And to finish up this Halloween week bonanza of posting videos every day, tomorrow I'm going to have the announcement video for the winner of my 1K giveaway, and I can't wait. So I'll see you guys then. Bye, guys.